I'm Anita with BeanDesigns.com. You are invited to join my journey of preserving memories for future generations. This is week 15 of 52 DigiScrap layouts in 52 weeks using GIMP. Let's take a look at this week's layout. It is a 2-page spread, this one being the left page, and this being the right page. I had 6 photos that I wanted to put together, and I used a template to do that. Let's start with the left page. I placed my photos onto the template page layout, and I used a combination of scaling and cropping to get my photos to be the same size as the rectangles. We're going to hide the rectangles now. If you're interested in some more detailed information on how to do this, check out my video tutorial on how to use a template for your digital scrapbooking layout. We have the photos ready to go. So what I'm going to do is pull in my paper, my matte paper. I'm going to place it onto the layout. And I'm going to go ahead and put my digital paper background onto the layout as well. So let's reorder that to be on the bottom. And we're going to reorder the blue paper, the matte, to be here just below the template for the matte. So let's go ahead and alpha to selection the background template. Let's go to our blue paper, make it active. We're going to invert that selection and delete. And instead of deleting that section, what happened is this layer doesn't have an alpha channel. Therefore, it does not have the ability to produce transparency. So let's go edit back. Let's edit undo what we did and add an alpha channel to that paper. And now let's delete that section. And let's go ahead and delete this whole layer because we have our matte cut now. So let's add dimension to our layout, and taking note of what we already experienced, let's go ahead and add an alpha channel to our digital background paper and select none. We're going to duplicate that paper. We're going to do our feathered and rounded selection around the outer edge and delete. Add our multiply mode. And we're going to duplicate that layer. We've selected it. We're going to feather that selection, shrink that selection, and delete it, and add a multiplier around the edge of our mat. And let's ink the edges of our photos. For information on how to ink the edges of a photo, check out my tutorial here on my channel on inking photo edges. Simply done by duplicating the layer, shrinking the selection, deleting a portion, and then applying a difference mode. Let's go ahead and pull the beads onto our layout, and then let's reorder it to put it on top of all the layers. I'm going to move it up to the right upper corner. I'll put another one over on the left lower corner of this other page. I also flipped this one to make it work with the other one. Getting it into place, let's take a look at our second page. I'm going to bring in the blue mat and the background paper, and then I'm going to reorder those on the layer palette. So let's hide the matte paper in the matte template and duplicate the background paper. Let's see what it would do if we did not add an alpha channel to that background paper. So we duplicated it. We're going to do our feathered and rounded corners selection on the paper. Let's hide that background layer template. Delete. And what happens is it fills it with the background color instead of filling it with transparency. So let's delete that layer. I'm going to now add an alpha channel to this layer, duplicate the layer. We have our selection. Let's delete that selection. It left it clear, right? It cleared it actually all the way out, made it transparent, just like we wanted it to do. So if you ever delete something that you feel like should be disappearing, it does not disappear. Instead, it fills with the background color. Check and see if you potentially need to add an alpha channel to that layer. As you see, I am cutting the template from the blue paper to create a mat behind the 3 photos. I did create an alpha channel on the blue paper before I cut it. I'm next going to ink the edges of the photos. What this includes is duplicating the layer, cutting a feathered and shrunk selection from that duplicated layer, and then applying a difference mode to the edge. There is a detailed, as mentioned before, a detailed tutorial here on my channel on how to ink the edges of photos. This creates a beautiful effect, gives the photos 3 dimension. I'm going to bring in the beads onto this layout, place it there on the left lower corner to match with the first page. Well, here we have it. We have our 2 pages, our left page and our right page. As a final step, I would save them in the native GIMP XCF format so that I could maintain the layers in case I needed to alter something before printing. And then I would export them as a JPEG in preparation for printing. I would make sure and do a visual look to make sure I'm leaving at least a quarter inch around the perimeter edge, just in case of waste in printing. And there you go. Week 15 is complete. Thank you for watching the video. Really appreciate you joining me in this week's layout. We do have 37 more to go in my 52 weeks. Be sure and come back next week to see what else I'm coming up with for the next one. If you would like to use this template for your own memories, I have created the templates and they're available on my website, www.beandesigns.com. Check there for more information. If you enjoyed this video, check out my channel because there are a lot of other GIMP related, digital scrapbooking related video tutorials available there. Feel free to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified when a new video tutorial is uploaded and ready to go. And come back and join me in this journey as I'm preserving memories for the future generations. Bye bye until next week.